welcome to Morning Manna. And the last thing you're probably wanting to think of right now is work. However, the passage that we're coming to this morning, starting in John chapter 6, verse 29, speaks of work. Specifically, it speaks of God's work. And, as I was reflecting on the work of God, it occurred to me that, yes, he is the boss, but he also works for us. That's right. God works for us. He works with us, and he works in us. And there's probably other words we could add to that list. But there's the three for this morning. God works for us, he works with us, and he works in us. How is it that, although God is the boss, that he works for us? Well, John 6:29, in a conversation with those that he had just fed earthly bread, Jesus answers them as they're asking him, where's the sign? Give us a sign. Give us a miracle. Basically, do some work for us. We want to put you to work for us, said the people. And Jesus answered them, this is the work of God. So here it is. Here's his job description regarding us, that you believe in him whom he sent. So God is always wanting to basically prove his trustworthiness, that we would believe him, that we would put our trust in him. Those are synonyms, belief and trust. And he is showing his trustworthiness, that he is trustworthy, that if he says something, he is able to accomplish it. And this work is to cause in us a reaction. There's a response, a proper response. And what is that response? That his work would produce faith, that we would believe in him whom the Father sent. Who is that? That's Jesus Christ. So, although God is the boss, he is working for us in that he is wanting to produce in us a faith in him, the one that he sent, Jesus Christ. Well, God also works with us. Ephesians 2:10 says, for we are his workmanship, created in Christ Jesus for good works, which God prepared beforehand that we should walk in them. So there's this cooperation. He works with us. We, us, are his workmanship. There's a partnership there. We have been created in Christ Jesus for good works, which God prepared beforehand. You see, God, before we were born, prepared work for us to do so that we could walk in it. It's sort of like the difference between God's relationship with Israel in the desert, in the wilderness, on their way from Egypt to the promised land. God was doing the work for the people. And this is what the people were asking Jesus in John chapter 6. They were saying, hey, why can't you give us manna from heaven? Why can't you be like Moses? Why can't you do everything for us? And God was moving them from God working for them to the cooperation on the other side of the Jordan River, where they would meet God in that place of faith. And in those battles and in those circumstances, and God would do his miraculous work in cooperation with the people. And so Ephesians chapter 2 speaks of that we are working and cooperating with God in faith. And I think that's a very fantastic part of the Christian journey. And when you're first saved, it's often just God working and doing things kind of to you. And then as you mature in your faith, God grows you up, and instead of being a dependent baby child in your faith, you become a little more able to work. And just much like a teenager then begins getting his work permit and going and getting a job and then becoming an adult and paying his own bills, there's this maturing process that God is bringing us up in our faith, that God would work with us. And then thirdly, God works in us. In Philippians chapter 2, verse 13, for it is God who works in you both to will and to do for his good pleasure. And so I also love this thought that God, he is working in us. There is an internal work that God is doing, unseen, but very important. Out of the heart flows all sorts of things, right? And so out of our heart comes what we speak and our actions and our relationships, both with God and with others. And so God is working on the inner man, the inner woman, to will and to do for his good pleasure. And so may God be working in you in those deep places, and that may he be pleased with the work that's being accomplished in you. And as he teams up with you to accomplish those works that he has prepared beforehand, may you walk in them. And then lastly, just the wonderful reality that God is trustworthy, that he has proven himself. It is this work of God that we would believe in him, the one who the Father sent, Jesus Christ, and in whom we celebrate this season, his birth, and forward to his death, burial, and resurrection, and then even forward from this day to his the wedding feast and the coming again of our great Messiah. So God bless you today. God is the boss, but remember, he is working for you. He is working with you, and he's working in you. Merry Christmas.